Hello, welcome once again to Meroben TV. I'm Meroben. Today I'm going to talk about the current situation that is going on in the Middle East between the Palestinians, militants, the Hamas group, and the Israeli Defense Forces, the State of Israel. Well, I admit the likelihood of errors of fact or interpretations and apologize in advance for all of them. Because whenever it comes into situation pertaining to the Arab Palestinians and the Jewish Israel, there's always a likelihood of bias one way or the other. So I need to apologize in advance. And like I said, there's always a cause and effect of everything that happens in this world. Well, much as we are condemning what is going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians, the bombings and the killings, we also have to understand that whatever did happen on October 7, 2023 shouldn't have happened. It's barbaric. It's uncalled for. Nobody should entertain it. And it's not in Islam. Islam doesn't teach us that. So who are these people? Where are they coming from? What do they mean by what they did? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. But here is the case. Israel has responded back, and with full force, that the whole world is condemning it. Let us first condemn what happened on October 7th, 2023, and then we can condemn the bombing of innocent civilians that are dying in Gaza. Because here is the case. Many people lost their loved ones. We all understand 3 weeks ago, a group of this Hamas militant broke into the border fence between Israel and Gaza, infiltrated into Israel, went on killing spree or rampage, raping children, women, and then maiming some, burning some, beheading some, shooting. It was so sad. So here is the question that I'm asking. Let's flip the coin. If this act were perpetrated by Israel, do you think the whole world would sit back and not condemn it? So the first question I keep asking is, why is it that the Arab world don't want to talk much about what happened on October 7th? They just don't want to condemn it. Some were even saying that the videos that were showing initially were just video games. What are you talking about? Go to the Israeli Defense Force website, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force website, and see the videos. These videos, most of them were taken by these same people, the Hamas militants, while they were committing this act, sending it back to their people in Gaza to post them on media files. I think it wasn't called for. And do you think you are doing this and Israel will sit back and watch or go to the United Nations and complain? No, they'll hit back. And they were able to overpower all these barbaric militants, kill them. But what is so sad here is they took some hostages back into Gaza, still holding on to them. They have released some, but they are still holding on to some of them. Do you think that killing about 400 to 500 innocent civilians, talking about women, children, the elderly, their caregivers, and toddlers? Come on, it's not called for. This is something that we shouldn't entertain at all, regardless. Much as I'm saying this, I'm not condoning these apartheid segregation policies that the people of Palestine has been subjected into. But let us try to call the spade a spade, because they brought this upon themselves, one way or the other. Why am I saying that? Why is it that when the United Nations proposed the two states in Palestine, the Arab Palestinians refused to accept it? The Jews accepted it and declared their independence on May 14th, 1948. Now they say they're going to fight them. So 4 or 5 Arab nations, including Jordan, Egypt, Syria, and I think Lebanon, I don't know whether Iraq was part of it, came together and they fight against the newly established state of Israel. But the Israelis defeated them. And that marked the beginning of the troubles of the Palestinians. People don't want to talk about it. They will come and show maps. When was the map of Palestine drawn? It was after the Second World War, when the British, the Western forces or allies were placing a new demarcation against the Germans and those forces that were defeated by the Western allies. So don't forget, many nations were affected by this, including parts of Africa. Yes, part of Africa, Asia, the whole world. There was new boundaries that were being drawn, because remember, all the territories that was being held by the Germans were divided among the French and the British. So I think it was a big mistake that the Palestinians did not accept that peace, that demarcation or that partitioning. They would have been able to establish their homeland. We wouldn't be sitting here to talk about this. There wouldn't be this war that is going on. There wouldn't be innocent people that are being killed. We must speak the truth. You see, back in the 1800s and early 1900s, when we don't have satellite and these medias and all these things were being done and then being swept under the carpet. But now you can't do that because Big Brother is watching you all over. Where are you going to hide? So we have to understand that this is new era. You cannot fight violence to achieve what you want. It's not going to happen. I know that there's a whole lot of crisis that's going on in the world. Yeah, it is true. The Chinese are having their own problems with the Philippines and other nations in Asia about the seas and also borderlands with India. And we know what is going on between the Russians and the Ukrainians. We understand there's a shift. I know. But we have to be very careful the way we are calculating things because it's going to be a miscalculation. What did happen in 1918 and then 1939, 40, 41, 45? If such thing happens today, I think this civilization that we are cherishing as the highly advanced civilization, we're going to lose it all. And I don't think that the few remaining ones that will be able to survive in hundreds and thousands of years to come will be able to even remember that there was a civilization that was so advanced that they were even going to space and they were doing all these things and the computer and all these things, because we're going to lose everything. And we got to think about it. And why am I saying that? The Palestinians, I think the best thing to do, and mostly the Arab world, because listen, I was listening to the Israeli Prime Minister on the just ended UN General Assembly. He brought the map of the Middle East and he began his narrative by saying that a few years ago, he had a red mark in his hand. He said, a few years ago, I came here and I spoke about nuclear Iran being a curse and a threat to the whole of Middle East. Today, I'm here once again with the same map that is according to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And he holds in his hands a red marker. And then he drew a line right across through the UAE to Europe. And he said, this is going to be the new Middle East, linking up Middle East straight up to Europe, and that they are forging out peace with their neighbors. And this is going to bring prosperity to the whole of Middle East. And he spoke up about it of being a pivot in history, talking about the prosperity. And we know that the Israelis and the Saudis are working on their mutual agreement to know and to become friends. Put it that way. I don't think anybody should sit back, I'm talking about the Arab world, and be left behind. It is a very good initiative. Then you can sit with the people of Israel. Then you can bring in the Palestinian problems. Then you can solve the Palestinian issue. It's as simple as that. But why is it that at the same time that the Israelis wanted this peace plan, a group of Arab nations will incite the Palestinian Hamas militants to cause such heinous act, such barbaric act against innocent civilians? And yet, no one is prepared to condemn it. But when Gaza was being bombed, they are saying all manner of things. They should have known better that once you attack Israel, Israel is going to defend itself and is going to hit back so that you don't have to prepare yourself to hit him again tomorrow. And they have vowed that they are going to destroy Hamas. I don't agree to it, but right now, it's a solution to their problem. So they got to do what they got to do because it's an issue of survival. And don't forget, I keep saying this Hamas, just like the PLO and the PLA, is an ideological thing that you cannot kill. The only way out is to forge a peace plan that can give these Palestinians the dignity and a homeland of their own, because they've been subjected into this apartheid and segregation policy for far too long. 75 years, I think it's a very, very, very long time ago. The people that survived the Nakba spoke about it. And if you hear some of the stories, it is sad. But who brought it? It wasn't the Palestinians themselves. It was the Arab nations. So my question is, who are these Palestinians? Well, according to my research, they are made up of some Arabs, both from Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and I think Iraq and Jordan. But here is the case. If the Arab world meant anything good for their brothers and sisters in Gaza, talking about the Palestinians, I think it's about time this violence stops and then the peace initiative or proposal begins. Because regardless and no matter what, America is not going to sit down for the Arab world to destroy Israel. They couldn't defeat them. They declared their independence in 1948. They couldn't defeat them in 1967. They couldn't defeat them in 1953. 1973, they couldn't. So what makes you think that at this time, with all this technological advancement that Israel is boasting of, and the United States is backing them up, that you'll be able to defeat them? I think it's a miscalculation. So I will appeal to the Arab world to have at least a little bit conscience and mercy on the people of Palestine. The Palestinians have suffered far too long. They don't have to be going through all this. They deserve a dignity and a homeland of themselves. This is the time to talk peace. It's not about justice. Now after the peace, then you can talk about justice. The only way out, like I said, if you continue with this violence, Israel is not going to sit back. I don't think any other nation will sit back. If Quran doesn't condone it and the Torah says love your neighbor as yourself, I think both sides are wrong. But then again, like I said, two wrongs do not make a right. It's about time that the United Nations, together with Israel and together with the United States and Britain that began all these things, they got to go back to the round table, work out something to give the Palestinians their dignity as human beings. They need and they deserve a homeland. Well, Iran has started rhetorical warnings to the United States. It's just a bluff. Iran, you can't do nothing against the US. You're rather increasing the troubles and the woes of the innocent people of Palestine, the good people of Palestine. And like I said, the Palestinians has to rise up against these Hamas militants because they are the ones causing all these troubles for them. And the Palestinian Authority has to sit up and realize that this Hamas are not doing them any good. Because with this level or amount of destructions that are going on, think of it, people that are on dialysis in hospitals, how are they going to receive their treatment? Those that are being bombed and are sick and injured, the elderly, the disabled, the women. What are we talking about? We got to think for a minute and understand that October 7th must not repeat itself. Just like it was 50 years ago, the same time period, 6th October 1973. What is wrong with us? Indeed, it is true. As Karl Marx said, history repeats itself. But is it for good or is it for bad? We learn history to reshape our present and to proceed to the future. But why must we continue to repeat mistakes of yesterday that brought about sorrows? It's not called for. Both the Palestinians and the Israelis must work out a peace proposal or a peace plan, but not until Israel is able to destroy the Hamas. If the Palestinians are not going to give their dignity to have their homeland, I think you cannot destroy Hamas, because Hamas is an ideology. As long as the people of Palestine remain under this apartheid system and the segregation in Gaza, Hebron, and the West Bank and other parts, there will always going to be uprising. Let us not forget, as it is said, that violence is bred by occupation. I think Israel should end the settlement expansion and then roll back their settlement. And let's see if they can work out peace, because I know Israel is committed for it. And so also I advise our Arab neighbors, our brothers and sisters, that if Quran forbid all these things, and the Torah also on the Israeli side forbid the killing of these innocent people, I think peace is the only way out. Once again, I thank you for watching. If today is your first time here, my channel examines global issues with in-depth analysis. We bring you news from Ghana, stories around Africa, travel, culture, entertainment, politics, religion, and lifetime inspirations through blogs. Please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you stay tuned.